I'm Glenn Ostlund from Infants on Thrones, and I'm here with Tim Sykes, who's one of the most successful guys ever. Right? Would you agree with that?
Not ever.
Oh, come on.
I'm successful.
But
not
I see
ever.
I see you all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just come to meet you and got to know you maybe the last month or so,
Yeah.
really, that we've met. Hey,
Good
nice
stuff.
to meet you, Tim. So
Good to meet you.
I'd like to know about your journey. That's
Okay.
really what I want to hear. I want to hear about your journey.
Yeah, I mean, no. So I've had success. I want to quantify this because it's cool to be successful, but in the grand scheme of things, like I'm not a billionaire. I've never created like a billion-dollar company or multi-billion-dollar. I mean, the world is big.
Yeah.
But there's different ways to be successful. I'm successful. I've made several $1,000,000. I'm self-sufficient. I've created several millionaires. I've now created a charity so that I can donate millions of dollars. Like. Yeah. Millions is good, okay? 7 figures is good. 8 figures is more meaningful. 9 figures. I mean, there's 10 figures out there. I don't think you really need to become a billionaire. I actually gave this talk in Jakarta, Indonesia for a TED Talk. This was my second TED Talk. And I asked everyone in the room, I was like, who wants to be a billionaire? Everybody raised their hands. And then my next slide was like an unhappy billionaire. I know several billionaires. They're not that happy. Like too much money is not necessarily success. It's actually a problem. You're living in a prison. Like everyone just sees you as the billionaire. Like, oh, $1,000,000 is nothing to you. So I'll never be a billionaire. I don't want to make that much money. If I do, I'll give it away to charity. But for me, success is like doing what you love, achieving your goals. I've already created a few millionaires. I have donated a lot to charity, but I'm just beginning. So my journey, it's fantastic. I started with just a few $1,000s in Orange, Connecticut, small town kid. Now I've been to over 100 plus countries. But I think it's a process. And I think that no one's journey is really ever done until they're dead. Like some people are like, oh, I'm too old to begin. You're alive. Every single day you can choose how are you going to use that day? How are you going to strive to get better? How are you going to maximize all the opportunity? Because right now this is an amazing time to be alive, I think. Like the internet, 20, 22 years old, really? And really, we've just been really utilizing it in the past 10 years. So if you think about, this is the most important invention probably since the printing press hundreds of years ago, there's a lot of opportunity. So I think my journey is just beginning.
Where did it start? You mentioned Orange, Connecticut? That's where you grew up?
Yeah. Small town kid. I played tennis every day for like 10 years. I was trying to get into a good college. I had surgery on my arm. I couldn't do anything, so it got me into the stock market. My dad calls it the $1 million injury now, and now, I've made several $1,000,000, and that, once you make several $1,000,000, I mean, that makes your life. Like, that gives you freedom. You don't have to work for another boss. You don't have to work for somebody else. So, ever since I made the millions, I've had my ups and downs, but that opens up the world to you, and that's why I'm so obsessed with creating millionaires.
So how did you do it? How did you make millions in the stock market?
Well, it's all done in one sentence. No, thousands of stocks move up and down every single day, right? And most people think it's pretty random, like, oh, you can't guess the stock market. It's like a casino. Yes, you can actually guess with good odds. Maybe not 100% of the time you're going to be right, maybe not 90 or even 80, but my top students and I are 60, 70% of the time. So we're finding stocks where we think there can be some level of predictability. For me, those are penny stocks, low price stocks, under $5 a share. When a small company gets an endorsement of a big company, like, oh, this small company with a little technology just signed a deal with Apple, or signed a deal with Cisco, or GE, or IBM. And that big company basically validates the small company. The small company stock will spike 50, maybe 100, maybe 200% in one day. But with that validation that maybe took years to actually work, the stock is going to rise for several days, several weeks, several months. So I'm waiting for these kinds of opportunities when there's like a real company changing, maybe industry changing situation. And I'm looking to ride the momentum, sometimes up, sometimes down.
You say you're waiting, but you pick them and you watch them and you like learn what their pattern are. Did these penny stocks take on a life of their own to you, where you start feeling like, oh, I know what they're going to be doing? When you see them hit a certain point, they're going to go down, or there's some kind of predictive quality to it that you've learned.
Yeah, I mean, over the past, I've been trading nearly 20 years, so I've seen so many different patterns. I've seen so many news releases. I've seen so many spikes and crashes. Like, I have a good idea. Like, if a company is going to announce a big deal, like I just gave the example of, I have an idea of what it should do if it's going to keep going for several days or several weeks. Sometimes I'm wrong. A third of the time I'm just wrong. Like, okay, they sign a big deal and the stock does nothing, or it goes down. Maybe it was already priced in. So the more experience you have, the more predictability there is, because you have that in your mind. And I've done thousands of trades and I've seen tens of thousands of stocks do what I wanted and some stocks don't. So I have kind of like a model in my head. And then it's about trying to fit that model into current stocks.
And so I want to kind of get back to your journey a little bit. You were playing tennis, you got the injury, you started trading stocks. At some point you got into the day trading penny stocks, but you were leading a hedge fund at one point. What were some of the other things going on?
I mean, I've been all over the place. When I first started, I was investing in big companies and my account just wasn't moving. Like, I was like watching CNBC, I'm investing in these big companies. I started with 12,000. It was like 12,000, then like 11,900, then 12,000. I was like, this is so boring. Like, how am I going to grow this? So I gravitated towards lower price stocks, which are penny stocks, which the whole world pretty much universally hates and says you shouldn't trade. But I saw them moving 50, 100% per day. So with my 12,000, I could put 4,000 in one stock and possibly make 1,000 or two that day. And I was like, mind blown. So that was amazing for a small account. Then I got a little too far ahead of myself. After I've already made, roughly $2 million in college, I started a hedge fund. And I was like, well, I've turned 12,000 to $2 million. I can turn $2 million into $100 million. Not so. There's scalability issues. So while it's good for small accounts, like making 1,000 or 2,000, it's very difficult to grow a multi-million-dollar hedge fund with just penny stocks. So I got a little greedy. I actually invested in my best friend's dad's company. I wanted like the home run instead of just trading and making small gains. I was like, this company's going to make it. They basically invented print-at-home ticketing. It was called Cygnus e-Transactions. Don't invest in your family or friends' businesses. It gets all muddy water. The company went bankrupt, very nasty situation. I lost roughly a third of my hedge fund, all my credibility destroyed. That actually crystallized my trading rules. I didn't know about these rules that I now teach. I didn't know how important they were. I was just like, oh, I'll put money here, I'll put money here. When I trade stocks, you can get in and out very quickly. Like, I'm in and out same day sometimes. With the long-term investment, it's not trading publicly for some of it. And when it was trading publicly, it was, most penny stocks don't trade that much every day. So even if I hated the company, I couldn't get out if I wanted to. And then the company went bankrupt and later actually got bought out by the CEO in bankruptcy, changed the company name, wiped out all the shareholders like me, and the company later sold for like 40 million. So in the end, I was right about the technology, but I was wrong about the company. And I lost all my money in that investment, which was roughly 30% of my hedge fund, which sucked.
Would you consider that your biggest mistake?
I mean, I have so many mistakes over the years. Why is that funny?
Huh?
Why is that funny? It's not funny.
I like it. I like how many mistakes.
Mistakes?
Yes, because you've talked about the importance of making mistakes and learning from mistakes.
I just like that you laughed when I said, I've made so many mistakes. It's okay to laugh. It's easy to look back because I've had a lot of success too. That was my biggest monetary loss. I made a lot of mistakes, not necessarily just monetary. Like, some people think, oh, your biggest loss, or you lose $500, that's a bad trade just because you lost money. Sometimes I lose 500 and it's a good trade. Like, I was wrong about the stock from the get-go and I managed my losses and I cut them very well. So you have to lose in life. You have to make mistakes. So the $500,000 loss, yeah, that was my biggest monetary mistake. Biggest mistake? I don't know. Again, it's a whole journey for me. Like, I can't quantify every single one of them. Based on money, yes, that's my biggest. Overextending myself is a mistake that I still make to this day, where I have too many projects, I want to do too much, I want to visit too many countries, and I get sick. I make myself sick from just overexerting myself and being exhausted. That's my biggest mistake, and it's a constant mistake that I'm still working on.
Yeah, your biggest win?
My biggest win, monetarily, again, my biggest win is making roughly $220,000 in one day, betting against this company that was spiking in reaction to the Asian tsunami. Do you remember the Asian tsunami in
do.
2004?
I do.
Were you in Asia? I know you lived in Asia.
No, I was in Asia. I was in Tokyo from 2007 to 2010.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Domo no arigatou gozaimasu.
Do itashimashite.
Ah, I love it.
Yeah,
I miss
don't
Tokyo.
don't touch my mustache is the
Okay.
way you remember that one.
Okay, I don't know what that means, but sure.
Whatever
works. No, the Asian tsunami was a big thing, that really, rattled the world. And this small company, Taylor Devices, TAYD, which is actually still in business, they make this earthquake absorption equipment for buildings, or they made it. And the rumor was that there were, all these Asian cities were going to now have this technology to try to, prevent disaster. But the problem was this company was near bankruptcy. Like even if they had orders, like they couldn't fulfill them. But the stock spiked from like 1 to 6 in reaction to this news or these rumors. And I was like, this is ridiculous. It's going back to 1. And then it kept going. So I was shorting it, betting on lower prices, and it went higher. So I actually had my biggest loss up into that point, roughly $180,000, my biggest trading loss. And it kept going, and I was like, I got to cut losses. And then the next day, I was like, it was up to 9. And I was like, this thing, 1 to 9, this is ridiculous. It's not going to do this. So I shorted it as the momentum began fading, and I made back 220. So overall, I made $40,000 in 2 days. Terrible way to make $40,000. Your biggest loss and your biggest win. But it was a good lesson. Even the rumors did turn out to be false. Like the company got no contracts. They did basically go all the way back down to $1 a share. Although now, over a decade later, they're still in business. So it wasn't one of the worst penny stocks, but it was me trying to guess the top. And that's a very dangerous thing to do. I would never take that trade right now. And if I did, I would take much smaller position sizes. I've gotten more conservative in my older age.
How does this impact your personal life? Because we're talking about your biggest mistakes, your biggest wins. It's all, what you're investing, what you're making.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to make money. Obviously, almost every day there's an opportunity. The money that you can make in the stock market just blows your mind compared to like anything else in the real world, like hourly pay or like normal jobs. For a while, I didn't have my head on straight. Like, I'm making too much money, like especially when I'm in high school and college, like making nearly $1 million as a freshman in college and getting like 3 fake IDs taken away. Like I couldn't even go to bars, and yet I'm nearly a millionaire. Like it was weird. So I've had my ups and downs with my, dealing with this and dealing with the money and dealing with the schedule, because I'm almost trading every single day, no matter where I am.
It seems like it's always on your mind. Like even right now as we're talking, there are probably some stocks that you're thinking about in the background that you've been keeping your eye on.
Yeah, now that you bring that up, I want to look at this stuff. It's again, waiting for the best plays. So I'm not always in a stock. I'm not like one of these guys where, you sit at your multi-monitor computer from like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, and every single day you're just making thousands of trades. Like I usually make maybe 1 or 2 trades per day max. Today I already made one and I lost a few $100s. Sometimes I'm wrong. It's about being ready for opportunities though. Like that's my whole trading mentality. I'm like a sniper. So while most people are not ready at any time, like they might miss a good play if they take a week off and they just don't look at it, I'm always ready to strike, because the best opportunities come when you're least expecting them. I missed my college graduation for a trade. I regret that. I should not have taken the trade, but I made, roughly 1 semester's worth. So it's a conflict where the good trade pops up and you just have to be ready for it. The vast majority of people are not trained properly, so they're not ready. So even if there is the next great, amazing play, they're not prepared for it. There's always going to be another one, but how well are you ready to strike at a moment's notice? Yeah. That's what I try to focus on.
Interesting. Okay, so you mentioned missing your graduation, which reminded me, you were what, a philosophy major?
I was, yeah.
How has that impacted what you're doing in the stock market?
It was very good. I took philosophy just to get my head straight with all the money that I made. Like making too much, again, it screws up your whole priorities and values and stuff. If you look like a lot of lotto ticket winners or, childhood like TV stars, like it's messed up. But philosophy made me think outside the box. I became very good at short selling. I became very good at just going against the grain. Almost all my friends were business and finance majors, so they all think pretty much the same. And going against that really works to my advantage. Although I'm a bad philosopher, like, most of the philosophy majors, they're all like smoking weed and like talking about shit like I don't understand. It's way over my head. It was good to get me thinking like that, but I'm not at that level, Advil PM is my drug.
Well, and you probably got to use that a lot because you're traveling all over the place.
Advil PM? Or weed?
Yes. Advil PM,
yes.
say.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
What's that like, traveling all around? How many countries?
I'm at 113 countries now. There's 197, but some of them you don't need to go to. They're just bad with rebels and dictators. It's interesting. It's a constant challenge trying to stay awake and be ready for the U.S. stock market, because I don't trade all markets. I would have no sleep. If I traded like Bitcoin, which never closes 24/7, like I'm scared of that. The U.S. market is open more than enough. There's more than enough opportunities. I kind of want there to be like a bear market so there's not so many opportunities, so I can just take like a week off or a month off. But lately there's been hot plays like every single day. So it's a gift and a curse, because it's good, there's money to be made, my students are happy. But for me, it's like constantly trying to deal with it. Even this summer, usually the summer is slow, like July and August, you can like take off. A lot of big traders do. But the past few summers, July and August, I mean, there's so many plays. I feel guilty when I miss a play, because I'm like...
So are you saying you've been to 113 countries, but it's hard to enjoy them because your mind's always focused on these plays?
It's hard to enjoy anything while I have like this to-do list. Like, if you start a business, okay, you start it, you want to grow it, maybe you sell it, and then you cut yourself off. Like, the business has done well. For me, this never ends. Like, people are like, oh, are you ever not going to trade? Are you going to retire? And as long as I see opportunities, I kind of got into teaching to kind of like collapse the opportunities. I was like, if I teach everybody my patterns, they won't work anymore. That hasn't worked. I've been teaching for 10 years. The patterns are pretty much the exact same. Some people like going short, some people like going long. There's more plays than ever. So I couldn't collapse the patterns like I wanted.
What made you want to get into teaching in the first place?
It was more about, I see all this opportunity and I see people not taking advantage of it. I see so much misinformation and BS about penny stocks, and it makes my blood boil. Like when I was on this TV show, Wall Street Warriors, I talked about how I short sell penny stocks, and that's my main strategy. And people would email me like, short selling penny stocks is illegal, you're a criminal. And I was like, what? No, I've been doing this for, like, that's wrong. It is legal, you just need to find shares to short. E-Trade is one of my brokers, they have shares to short. But a lot of lazy brokers lie to their clients about what they can and can't do because they don't want to look bad. And their clients don't ask questions. They're like, oh, my broker told me that it was illegal. I'm like, well, your broker's a fucking idiot. Like, he's just a liar, or she. So I wanted to get good information out there because I knew what I did was real. And when you take a few thousand and turn it into several million, like, you want everyone to be able to feel it. The question was, could I actually do it? A lot of people thought that it was just me, like I'm good at math or something, but now I have several millionaire students. My latest one started with just 27,000 and he turned it into over 1 million in 2 years, and he keeps going. So it's about trying to understand what is possible in life. And for me, by teaching, I'm able to get good information out there and help other people like I wish other people had helped me. I never had a teacher. So I try to be the mentor to other people that I never had. I think too many people are trying to do this alone. Like it's like stubborn guys in foreign countries, like they don't want to ask for directions. Their wife is like yelling at them, like, ask for directions. He's like, no, I got this. Ask for directions, okay? This isn't an easy thing to become a millionaire. And if you don't have guidance, if you have no mentor, you just make it harder on yourself. Like it's stupid pride where you think that you can do it all on your own and you don't want help. Like, ask for help. It's my pleasure to help people.
Your pleasure to help people, I think, and you do that with charities. I mean, so you've got yourself into a position now where you're able to spend your time working with other students so that they learn what it is that you've learned, and you can help them improve their lives. And then you've got these charities. Tell me about the charity work that you do. Why do you spend so much time involved with charities?
You have to find what makes you happy, right? So for me, teaching, fantastic. Traveling, fantastic. Freedom, enjoying the, life that I've basically made for myself. But it gets old after a while. Like, you can only have so many exotic cars and toys and material possessions. I've lived in big mansions. I've lived in penthouses. I've lived all over the world. You need to find what really fulfills you. And giving back to charity was just something I just started. I was like, hey, I see a charity that I like, let me donate a little money to it. And then it became an obsession. Like this is the way my brain works. Like I try little things, little tests, and then see how it feels. So I started donating. I think my first donation was back in college. I started the scholarship, and that was just a mess, like trying to organize it. Like the charity world is very rigid. So now that I have more money and my own Timothy Sykes Foundation, I can do a lot more and help a lot more charities. And I love that. So I want to do what I can with my money, and I want to maximize it. Like helping other people, like spending $50,000 on a village in the third world goes so much further than if I got like a new, $30,000 or $50,000 watch. That's what money I think should be used for. And it took me a while to get to this point, but now I'm loving it, and I'm obsessive now. I built 1 school, 2 schools. Now we have 35 schools that are built or in development, and my goal is to build 1,000 schools. So I have to donate roughly $50 million to make that happen. So it's going to take a little while.
So you're 35 schools into 1,000 school goal.
Yeah, so I'm like 3.5% of the way there. And it's not just schools. Like we're building a soccer stadium in Cambodia, a medical center in the Philippines. We're building libraries in Indonesia too. Playgrounds in the Ukraine. I've helped out like Houston with the hurricane, and now Mexico and Turks and Caicos. So it's whatever I can do to try to just help.
You've got this high profile on social media. People see the cars and all the material things, and they also see the charities. Do people treat you differently knowing that you've got this money?
I think that many of them try not to, but it's still pretty evident. When you talk about something that's such like a taboo subject, like you're not supposed to talk about your money. You're not supposed to talk about like your charity donations. Like I'm going against societal norms. For me, I'm proud of all this. I love sharing it. I think social media should be shared this way. It creates an amazing experience, like where people come up to me and like they just want to take a picture. They shake my hand like, oh, you're so inspirational. At my Orlando conference, you met with that one student where literally he was homeless, and my YouTube videos got him disciplined, got him thinking right, and now he's not homeless anymore. He had to send his wife away to go live with her parents, and he couldn't even see his little baby, and now they're all living together. He just paid off like their ring. Like it's beautiful what can happen when people find me on social media. So I try to be positive, I try to be inspirational, but at the same time there is some downside, namely where like I show off $1 million to inspire people to study harder, but then you see that I have $1 million cash. Mm-hmm. I don't always have $1 million cash, okay? Very rarely. I go to the bank, I take it out, take some videos and photos, I put it right back in. It's in the bank. If you want the $1 million, go rob the bank. Don't come to me. It's true. Like it's crazy. A lot of people come up to me and they're like, "How much cash you have on you?" And I'm like, "I don't carry cash. Like, I trade online. It's all digital." And then charity, like I show it off because I want to give these charities exposure, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud to help. Like I want people to see what I value, and me trying to help other people. Like it's important to show this. But yeah, people treat you differently when you see, like some people think like, oh, you're a billionaire. Like I'm not a billionaire. I've made a few $1 million, but I show it off.
I recently went back and I rewatched the Wall Street Warriors.
What'd you
Just
think?
the segments with you.
Uh-oh.
And when your mom came and was cleaning your apartment and you're just sitting there on the computer like, thanks, Mom. Okay, put that there, Mom. I showed my wife. She walked in. She goes, this guy's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about like being on these reality TV shows and that image of kind of Tim Sykes the dick?
Hey, Tim Sykes, millionaire mentor and trader. Thank you for watching my videos. I hope that they help you. I want to share everything that I've learned over the years. You can check out more videos right over there. And also click subscribe so that you can watch all of these videos, get that knowledge, and become my next millionaire student.